to the underground church. You know, I know it's I've only done this one other time, but you know, things are kind of getting bad out there in the world, aren't they? You know, a lot of people haven't stopped to think that this economic situation that America is suffering from now could be maybe a judgment of God. Could be God's a little bit unhappy about the 4,000 unborn children that are murdered in this country every day, legally. Do you think God would be a little unhappy with a society who's sitting there embracing the idea of homosexual marriage? When when the whole world knows, deep in their heart of hearts, the whole world knows that first of all, the homosexual lifestyle is not made up for people. It was not ordained by God. It's not something, and this idea of a man marrying a man or a woman marrying a woman, it's nonsense. But, you know, you got to stop and think that the day's coming when we're going to be, you know, stuck in being, you know, falling into judgment. I mean, I believe this nation's already falling into judgment. Look at what got elected to the White House. Look at the Congress that was elected, well, a couple of years ago, and then, of course, more recently in 2008. These people are no friends of God. They are no friends of a godly nation. And why they were ever put in there, I mean, you know, we've got a government that's out of control and doing everything they can to lead us towards socialism. And they're attacking on so many fronts that you're so busy trying to put out these little fires, you're not seeing the big fire. You're not seeing the big picture. You see, the Chinese government, as well as others, are calling for a global currency now. You see, 20 years ago, even though Hal Lindsey had written books like The Late Great Planet Earth and 1980's Countdown to Armageddon, you couldn't really envision the world changing like it is today. Somehow deep in my heart on September 11, 2001, I knew when that happened that this was a turning point in history. This was not just a simple attack on the United States. It was not just a simple terrorist attack. Oh, it might have been in the minds of the attackers. It was not just a simple terrorist attack. This was a true turning point in history. This was a turning point that we're going to be looking at for years to come. You know, provided we've got years to come. You know, I'm fully convinced that we're not going to make it be much beyond the year 2010. I'd be surprised if we make it to 2010 the rate things are going. Now, no, I wouldn't really be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lord comes back and raptures His church. The chaos that alone would cause in the world would drive people nutty. I do believe in how Dave Hunt coined at one time a contrary scenario to what a lot of other theologians believe. They believe that they believe we're going to be in the middle of a climatic war and the world's about to destroy itself when all of a sudden the rapture would happen. No, Jesus made it quite clear that that people would be marrying and giving in marriage and buildings would be being built and things of that nature. And when you take that into consideration, you've got to figure that means that life is going on as normal. So I believe that when the rapture takes place, it's gonna be very devastating because it's going to be at a moment that things are just not really. I mean, Jesus did say, that you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, and I believe you're going to hear of that anyway. But the time is now, people. The time is now. If you want to know Jesus, if you want to, common sense tells me that if I'm a sinner, I'm going to need a Savior. And that Savior is Jesus Christ. That's who you need to turn to now. That's who you need to receive into your life now. time is running out. This world does not have much time left. At the rate it's going, I don't doubt that this world's going to destroy itself within, I can't say when it'll actually all come to an end. Only God knows that. But, when you take things into account, like all of the major calendars, all of the different, like the Aztec calendars and the Mayan calendars and all of those world calendars, and even Nostradamus, and I don't believe any of those things, but yet they point to an end right around 2012. I think there'll be an end to national sovereignties at that point and things of that nature. I'm not going to say it's the end of the world, but I'll tell you what, it'll be the end of freedom. It'll also be the end of prosperity. Will the Christians be here still? Who knows? I'm sure that, of course there will always be Christians, except for that few moments that occur right after the rapture. People will come to the knowledge of the truth and accept Christ as their Lord and Savior, even during the Great Tribulation. In fact, the Bible makes quite clear that there will be tens of millions of souls that turn to Christ after things really start to get rolling during those years. But you're not going to benefit anything by actually waiting till then. Because I think if you've had your opportunity on this side of the rapture, after the rapture, you know what's happened, and God may not allow you another opportunity. He might, but you're going to have to show your sincerity. Jesus is the answer, people. To accept Him as your Savior and come into a loving relationship with the Lord, that's all He really desires. That's all God desires. When I hear people say, well, I can't believe a God of love would send anybody. First of all, God doesn't send anybody to hell. You see, people send themselves there. Because God simply offers them the choice to accept Him or reject Him. He doesn't send anybody to hell. It's all up to you. Nobody else can make the decision for you. Only you can make that decision for yourself. You can't make that decision for your kids. Your parents can't make that decision for you. Only you can make that decision. Why don't you just bow your head right now and ask the Lord to come in and lift that burden of sin right off of your heart. Do it today. Until next time, this is the Underground Church. God bless.